What is going on, everyone? It is Tyler McKinney, and I know it's been a bit, but we are getting back into alternative football. Yeah, kind of nice. Yeah. Well, if it's your first time here, glad to have you. If you're a return viewer, thanks for coming back and thanks for watching more videos. And if you haven't yet, consider subscribing. Now, you know that I give you a thumbs up at the end of every video, and I'd appreciate it if you do the same for me down there. You know that every like and every subscribe definitely helps out the channel. And speaking of helping out the channel, leave me your comments with your thoughts on what you think about all of these different leagues, because we got 3 different leagues we have to talk about today. And we will start first off with the XFL. Our good old love of the XFL is back. And today, The Rock came out and said, listen, everyone, we are 365 days away from the start of spring training. And, he went in to explain, how he loves football and, how his dream didn't happen in football, but he wants to make it happen for others, which I thought was a really cool thing. And I will be honest with you, it does have me excited again for the XFL. And listen, I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again. The XFL is a year behind schedule when it comes to everything, especially with the USFL and also now the MLFB, which we will talk about here next. But it's just good to see that they are continuing to put stuff out there. They're continuing to contact, personnel, continuing to add to, their hires and things of that nature. But this is kind of exciting. We are a year away. We will see what happens and how things transpire with the XFL. But listen, it's kind of fun to look at it that way. And, a year isn't that long to wait. And you know what? We're going to have other football leagues that are going to be actually playing in 2022. So we won't have to wait that longer. And speaking of one of those is MLFB. MLFB is planning on actually playing in 2022, believe it or not. And they've been doing a lot of, if you subscribe to their stuff and you'll see all of their filings and all of their numbers that they put out. And a lot of it is, to be honest with you, some of the statements and some of the stuff, I really don't have a clue with how exactly to read some of this stuff. But I will tell you, and it actually was just a few hours ago, Frank Murtha, who is the CEO of the league, they pretty much kind of had some funds open up, I guess, something to where with that they can, open up new shares, have more shares added in for people to buy into this, into the league. And they've had, some more things, I guess, pop up for them. Like I said, I don't really know a lot about, SEC filings or, having to do with that type of stuff, or with stocks, or with funds, law firms and that. They got law firms looking at stuff to see how they can, be able to have more people invest in this. And, he brings up that, they have all these assets from the AAF, and they have enough assets to easily field 8 teams, and that they will be, and here is the crux of it for me, they will be announcing names of some of their coaches soon, cities of where they're going to play, and other key information. Now, Mike McCarthy, not the Cowboys Mike McCarthy, a different one, who's their director of operations, they're still looking at talent, still going through talent that they've been evaluating, and that they're going to be having some information for us soon. I don't know how to take this. This is a really interesting one for me. Because they just kind of come out of the blue. If you remember, they were planning on doing a season in the summer of 2021. It never happened, never came to fruition. They've had all of this stuff. They've had these assets that they bought from the AAF. And so now it looks like they're going to be putting some stuff out there. So they're saying they're going to have a 2022 season. It's one of those where pump the brakes, because they've said this before and they put that information out before and it hasn't, come through. But listen, we have now 3 leagues that are vying for that space, that hole, so to say, that's been left by college football and, the NFL, these alternative football leagues, that is actually kind of cool. That we have three, very viable opportunities for people who aren't playing currently in the NFL or in college to really get exposure and be able to continue playing their playing careers and continue to play the game they love. And I love that, and I like that fact. So hopefully they do succeed, and hopefully they can do something. And to move on to our third and final league that we're going to talk about, we did get some information on the USFL. And this one has me kind of scratching my head a little bit. It does take a little bit of my excitement away from the USFL based upon a few things. But before we get into the nitty-gritty of it, let's just, let's talk about the news, and then we'll break it down. So on Tuesday, a Tuesday memo that was sent out to the NFL Players Association contract advisors explained that they're going to be having a player selection meeting happening on February 22nd and 23rd, and that if these people's clients or the players want to be included in that they need to sign a contract with the USFL before then. So pretty much what's happening is the USFL is going to be they're going to be one entity, and that they're going to employ everybody, which I think is a big deal. It's a good thing. I think that this is it's all under Fox Sports. So outside of having independent franchises and things like that, you have one sole source, which didn't work out well for the AAF, didn't work out well for the XFL. Hopefully it works out well for them, but they're kind of doing the same thing. And they're going to have 38-man rosters with 7-man practice squads for them. That's nothing, too crazy, nothing too new there with it. I think that's probably about right with where they're sitting. So here's getting into the interesting information for me. So players who sign with them, they're going to receive a base compensation, and then they'll be eligible for win bonuses. Now, we have absolutely no clue what that means, but this base compensation, unless we start hearing about some tiers and some stuff, I think that this is going to leave a lot of those lower tier, the lower tier guys who want to play but aren't in the NFL, those practice squad guys. I think that you're not going to be getting those guys. I think that what they're going to be going after here, and again, it gets back into it. They're saying to be eligible for this, that you have to have graduated high school before from high school 2022 or earlier. So what does that mean? All the players need to be pretty much 2 years removed from high school. So you were either a sophomore or a redshirt freshman in college this year, which opens it up to quite a bit of players. So if you're a guy, instead of transferring and playing for a transfer team, playing, on a transfer team like, say, a Russell Wilson or somebody of that nature, or even like your Justin Fields or some of your, more high profile guys, you can go ahead and sign with the USFL. You can play with the USFL and get yourself, kind of bolster your stock and play in this league, get paid while you're, to play. And really, to be honest with you, depending upon what their base salary is, I can tell you, if you live in most places, if you're making somewhere, between $30,000 to $40,000 a year, that's nothing, no, you're not going to make that in a big city market. But, when you start actually getting in Realville where real people live, that's actually not bad money if you can make that. And if you can make that in such a short period of time, signing with them, and you're signed with them from, February all the way, to the end of June with it, that's not even a half a year. So if you look at that, if you can make $40,000 over half a year and, still have, other time to do things in that way, that's not a bad gig if you really look at it that way. Like I said, Realsville. But really, they are not going after name commodities. They're not going after guys who, are on the fringe in the NFL. They're really trying to go after the young bucks. These guys that are trying to prove themselves, that are trying to make a name for themselves. This is going to be interesting. At first it kind of had me bummed because I was, this base compensation. So pretty much they're not going to be able to pay guys to really come in here and play. But the other thing for me was it's like, we're going to get a lot of guys that we've never seen before. So a lot of this unknown talent, which comes with that though, and I will pump the brakes and say this. It does have its downfalls, but then you have these gems that show up and that shine that you never knew would have been anything because they're just a baller, and they figured it out. They got in the right scheme and they really make a name for themselves here, and that propels them forward. And I think that's what they're trying to do here. They're kind of trying to put this thing together and trying to find those hidden gems that can really make a name for players, make a name for this league, propel them into the NFL, and then that will entice other players to want to come and play in this league. And I think that's what they're trying to do. Now, they're going to be opening up training camp on March 22nd, which for me, looking at it, I thought that was a bit late, but in all reality, if they report on March 22nd, that gives them, a total of, before they start playing their games, it gives them about a month to work with the players. So if the players are, know their teams by the beginning of March, they get their playbooks, they get all their stuff, they get their marching orders, they can go through, learn their playbooks, get with their coaches can have them on a workout regimen, what they need them to need them to do and all that. And then once they get into training camp, they can really, really hone things in and do that. It's plenty of time. A month is plenty of time to get your team together, to put the things together, to do what you need to do, especially if you've already had a couple weeks of, preparing everyone, getting everyone get together, knowing your playbook and things of that nature. Now, we don't have any other details with this, any coaches or anything like that. I would like to know some more of that. And I would imagine probably here in the next couple weeks, we'll get some of that information, but it's just nice to hear, that with it. Like I said, it does have me a little bit skeptical because of what they're going to do, but if they really do entice some of these young guys to come in there, especially some of these guys that still have college eligibility left, and have them come into this league and have these players playing, and they can get a couple, a handful of stars out of this, that's going to be huge with it. So the upside is really, really high with this. But you really have the potential, especially because you're dealing with a lot of young guys, to have a lot of stinkers, and a lot of, you could have some, pretty bad play in some places. So, there's quite a bit of difference there that you could have with this, but we'll see how it all transpires as we go. Like I said, we're just now getting kind of the layout of the land, really, for all three of these leagues. This is really kind of things are starting, and you can kind of start to see the competition starting to happen with all three of these leagues, which is kind of exciting for me. They're all kind of vying for these same players, trying to see where they fit in, jockeying for position. And listen, competition's always good. It's always good for that with it. So I'm excited about it. Like always, I want to know what you think. Let me know down in the comment section. Are you excited about any one of these leagues? Let me know down there and we can continue the conversation. All right, guys, listen, I know that you're busy and I know that I'm busy. So let's get on out of here. You have a good night. Bye.